Hello.
Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Friends. In this video, we will understand what are the different levels that a management functions at and what are the different manager hierarchies. What are the changes that implements through these managerial hierarchies. So let's begin. It is usually the top management level or the top management hierarchy that makes the most important changes in the entire organization of the working and functioning. The lower level only implements these changes. Many a time such hierarchy often makes mistakes or misses out on very small understanding of planning of how to do certain things in an organization. People sitting at the top management definitely do not interact all the time with the front line or the lower level management. That's some point of time where there are certain decisions which go wrong or there are certain plannings which go wrong. Managers must hence understand how to plan for changes that are under such conditions. Managerial hierarchy term refers basically to the structure of the superior and the subordinates ranking. Almost every small and large organization follows this structure. Using the hierarchies, managers or members of an organization follow or fix a certain chain of commands. There is a fixed rule or a set of commands that flows like a chain, and it has to be followed from the top level management to the lower level management. So this is how the entire managerial hierarchy is followed, and that's how we understand our managerial hierarchy to be in place. In a management hierarchy, it is always the top level executives who decide the all important matters that has to be followed by the lower level management. For example, in a company, this would include the board of directors, thus the ones who take the major decisions of the company and the brand. In the next level, managers and executives simply implement plans that the top level makes. So it's like top level management makes certain decisions, takes certain decisions followed by the lower level or the next line of management in the organization. They take only very small decisions in order to enforce these plans. So decisions there are also taken. So decisions are also taken by the next level of the executives and managers, but only for the decisions to function in a particular manner and only for the things to get on rolling. In other words, they do not really play a very big role on enforcing changes or any decisions or taking big decisions of change. They just follow the instructions and they work according to that. Under such structures, it is common for finer details of change to get left out. Many a times, a lot of big changes which are there get implemented, but at the same time, very small patterns of change do not get implemented and they are left out. So just giving you an example, for example, let's say a company's board decides to revamp its business by adopting the latest technology available. So whatever is the latest technology they need to revamp is a decision taken by the management's board of company. The board will inform the management of this decision taken and leave its implementation to them. So decision is taken, implementation is something that they leave on the subordinates. In such cases, management will have to consider finer details that the board is likely to leave out. So many a times the board has taken a major decision, but there are very small decisions or strategies that needs to get implemented which they might definitely leave out. This includes details like purchase of new machinery, terminating of clients, certain employees, training of workers, co-workers, etc. So these are some small decisions which they leave for the next level management to implement. What they do is take big decisions and just put it ahead for implementation. It is very difficult to implement very big changes which a management leaves on the execution or for getting implemented. Organization can adopt several various means or measures which are effective to resolve their problems. One of the simplest solution to this problem is to maintain a specialized planning unit. So there are certain specialized planning unit which are in place for helping these change to get through very smoothly. This unit is responsible for planning each and every finer details of the management. So management made a decision and put down for implementation. The planning unit plans everything, each and every minute detail very, very specifically. The unit can contain members from all the levels of management for facilitating a very smooth implementation change. So any change that has to be done has to go very smoothly, for which the planning unit is responsible. Another effective strategy is to involve an external management consultant. Many a times an external trainer is invited. That's how I come in picture at many corporates and organizations. A manager in place who's working with a staff for several years, the staff takes him for granted after some time, or doesn't really take him a person who is very strong at decision making. At times there are a lot of clashes because of unnecessary issues. At that particular point of time, someone coming from outside, like a trainer like me who goes to these corporates and companies from outside, is taken differently. So I'm not a person who's involved in the complete functions, but I'm a person who can help them consult, get things better. So these are certain consultants or professionals who have certain skill sets and expertise to suggest ways to implement changes successfully. Like I majorly deal into customer service and people management. So there are certain expertise that I hold, which I go and I implement it for the betterment of the change of the organization. People are often less likely to resist changes when they are enforced and managed by outsiders. So it becomes like there is an outside consultant who is an expert or professional in that particular field, who's come in and who's helping us to get ourselves trained in certain manner. Manager just is following what the professional has asked him to. It is taken quite positively then, and then these things are followed by the staff, taken in very nicely, and the things are running smoothly then. It is called the three-stage model. If you see on the slides, the three-stage model is the first stage ensures that employees are ready for the change, which is called unfreeze. The next level is change, which executes the intended changes. So now it's an execution time for intended changes. And the next after the change stage is it's refreeze, which is now ensure that the change has become permanent. So believe me, change is something which is very difficult, sometimes heartbreaking, but necessary. If we keep following a particular pattern for a very long period of time, it is very difficult to keep doing it for a very long time. It will not lead to sustainability of the organization. For the organization to sustain at a particular level, the changes are very important in that organization. So when we see an organization always going higher on the graph and then being stable, implements n number of changes in their organization and management level. That's how they sustain. So a change is amazingly disturbing. So these three stages are when a certain decision goes from the stage of unfreeze to change to refreeze. So a change is made, it's then a change executed, and finally the new change is for permanent. Again goes back when we have to make another change after certain years in the management or in the working. To give you a small example, as humans we treat change as so devastating or so disturbing, but can you believe every animal has to also change their way of living? I'll give you an example of an eagle. There are beautiful videos on maybe Google. If you could search for change in an eagle that an eagle accepts. An eagle's life is 70 years or 75. At the age of 40, he actually becomes old, and his nails grows to the fullest, his beak grows to the fullest, and his wings also grow to the fullest. At that particular point of time, it becomes very difficult for that eagle to catch hold of his prey. An eagle catches his prey only with his legs. That helps him with his nails, because the nails are so big, it helps the eagle to catch the prey correctly, and the beak helps him to eat the prey. The wings helps him to take the prey very high, and even if a prey is very heavy, the wings help him to carry such an heavy prey from one place to another. Then he sits at one particular place and then he eats his prey. At the age of 40, his nails, beak and wings are more than required, larger than the normal size. It becomes very difficult for him to then catch a prey, eat a prey, and the wings to fly. Now it becomes amazingly necessary for him to take two decisions in life. First of all, he can die at that level because he will have to starve if he cannot hold his prey. or if he cannot catch his prey. And the second decision is if he has to grow, because he knows that he has a life which can again survive him for another 40 years. He can stay alive for another 40 years. So now it is his decision whether he has to die starving or whether he wants to again rebuild his life in such a way where he can again live for another 35 to 40 years. That time, every eagle takes a very difficult decision of change in life. What he does is, the eagle goes to higher peaks and bangs himself to mountains, and he breaks his nails and beaks dashing these mountains. He sits on the mountains and peels off each and every wing of his, and he becomes almost naked. So he gets rid of all the unnecessary requirements like the nails, beak and wings. Now, when the wings start coming newly and the beak starts growing again and the nails start coming again he dives higher and deeper for his prey, and again he survives for 35 years. So friends, I was just giving an example to make it so clear that even an animal, even a bird knows that he has to change at some point of time. So friends, don't take it negative. This is something that is very positive that happens to us. Every change leads to a betterment in life, and that's the reason why these changes are very important, especially when we are talking about any management to go higher and any organization to reach its goal. So these three stages, stage of unfreezing, change and then defreezing again or refreezing again, are very important in life. At every given point of time we need to get this into following. So firstly, the organization should try to unfreeze the status, that is prevailing status of the affairs. This step requires to organization to clearly identify the status and declare that there is no longer in effect. So first, analyzing is very important. We need to understand whether the change is required or not. That's the first step within itself. So an analysis or an assessment is very important. All concerned members of the organization must know this and must understand this very well. Secondly, the management must know how the effective changes have to be implemented. So it's not only your identification, it's also your R&D, your research that would tell you that what exact change needs to be made. These methods should be practical and implementable. Finally, the last step requires freezing of the new status again. So any change that is now made, now we need to freeze it again. The management should ensure that it's a very smooth process of facilitation of changes. It must find ways to make the employees refrain the resisting against the proposed changes. So it's not that a management just takes a decision and the changes are made. It's also seen to it that it's taken very sensitively, very smoothly. It's facilitated only once the employees are convinced of that change, and the right managers who take this more effectively and sensitively. So all these patterns of changes are very important, which are discussed by certain management theorists, and it's really necessary in life as well. While we are talking of change, we also need to understand what is action research. So let's see what action research really means. Action research is the process of evaluating the implementation of change. So implementation of change is first evaluated of how exactly is it going to be in process. Under this method, managers use a very significant or scientific approach to understand how plans are working. So first of all, an entire flowchart or a diagram of understanding how the plans are working for the change to be implemented is first sorted. They may use figures, flowcharts, statistics, feedbacks and opinions of their employees for this purpose. So after taking a lot of feedbacks, only then certain changes are made in an organization. Action research basically involves steps like diagnosis, feedback, action and evaluation. So everything right from the assessment to the evaluation works in place like a process, and only then a change is implemented. A scientific approach like this helps in smooth implementation of change. This is a proper scientific process which is properly implemented in all organizations. The organization which do not follow the in a scientific way or in a scientific manner definitely fails to promote its brand to the fullest. Furthermore, it plays an even a bigger role or more important role in the hierarchical structure, which makes mistakes are very common. So even to follow the hierarchical structure, it's important to have change, but very smoothly and very effectively. Organization who fail to follow it definitely come down with crashing in their organization and bearing a huge amount of loss. So friends, these were certain changes that we need to implement in your organization as well. There are a lot of times when we realize that one strategy which we had implemented doesn't work. It worked very well for some time, now it didn't work because the trends in the market have changed, or the market's niche have changed, requirements in the market have changed. It's very important, friends, to again change your strategy to something where you could again create a niche in the market. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please stay tuned to Ikeda and keep subscribing to our channel. Thank you.